Right, I call to order the September 23rd meeting of the Los Alamitos Planning Commission. Can I have a roll call?
Yes, Chair Riley,
Here?
Vice Chair Quilty,
Here.
Commissioner Andrade,
Here.
Commissioner DeBolt,
Here.
Commissioner Gross,
Here.
Commissioner Lowe,
Here.
Commissioner Sofocanic.
Here. Right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So now we have oral communications. Seeing no one present, I'm going to skip past oral communications and move on to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
I abstain.
Abstention. Thank you. Motion carries.
No, I wasn't.
On to the consent calendar, introduction of new commissioner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, before you is a familiar face, Larry Andrade. Larry Andrade took a little sabbatical. Now he's back. And we're pleased to have him. And now Lisa's going to give him the oath because I don't want him to have to shake my hand.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Larry Andrade,
I, Larry Andrade,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States,
that I will bear,
true faith and
true
allegiance
faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United
to
States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You just need to sign here and you're official.
We got the short.
That's it.
Thank you.
You all did the short
Yeah. So that's great news, Larry. It's great to have you back on the commission.
I'm happy to be back. Thanks. Good to see some familiar faces as well.
All right. So now we'll move on to public hearings, of which we have none, which brings us to staff reports. Item 8A, resolution of intention number 15-15.
Thank you, Chair Riley and members of the commission. This is a resolution of intention, this one, which means that you are approving staff to go and research the subject and come back to you with some kind of an ordinance about this if you so choose. And Resolution 1515 is consideration of a resolution of intention by the Planning Commission to make zoning code changes that would ministerially permit restaurant outside seating on private sidewalks as a permitted use in order to help satisfy this action of the city's new general plan. And as you may remember, it was part of the general plan to try to make more walkable downtown with strolling, outdoor restaurants and things like that. So tonight you can discuss this, but we will come back later on with our research to present to you in the next couple of months or so.
What we put together is a sample from Santa Monica, who has probably the most experience there is in protecting residents and outside dining after the deaths that they had on 3rd Street Promenade many years ago, as you know. So we started to look around for other ways of approving outside dining instead of going through the onerous, expensive way of getting a CUP. And we found one that did it, and for small, when somebody wanted below 200 square feet, And we kind of thought that might be appealing to this commission to use that as a basis to start the discussion and to tailor one, maybe similar, maybe not. It's completely up to the commission. But it starts entertaining the thoughts of establishing a lesser process for smaller outside dining. As you know, there's two ways to handle the certain outside dining, like at Nick's or at or Baja Sonora, who are violating our codes, and there's two ways to do it. Be real tough on them or find an easier way for them to gain approval for a smaller version of what they're doing. Nick's is different. Nick's has no desire to serve alcohol, and they're really small and informal. And then Baja Sonora could be small and informal if they had something like this, or they could come back and try to get the CUP the way they have it. But in this example, Santa Monica was interesting, is they didn't require additional parking if it was under 200 square feet. As you know, that's about 1.5 spaces or 2 spaces. In our city, that would require 2 spaces, 1 space for every 150 square feet. So we thought it was a nice starting block for the commission to start the discussion of maybe having the normal CUP process for someone that wants something above 200 square feet and a smaller administrative process that already has all the rules laid out for them for a smaller under 200 square feet process.
Are both of those under 200 square feet?
No, I doubt Baja Sonora is, but Nick's probably is.
Really?
Yeah,
But
10 by
Nick's is
20.
the whole back.
Yeah,
I
You
mean,
know,
do
they have
count
the
cook
front
area in
and they
mind,
have
too?
the,
yeah, you're
no,
right.
no, just the exterior part.
Yeah.
Well, I think that back room at Nick's is, I would say it's underutilized, but, because I think people like eating out front there.
They do.
I mean, they
But,
like,
but
you know.
this is stating that the facility has to be under 200 square feet.
This is just a
No.
starting block. This commission could go 300, it could go
No, no,
100.
no, right. No, I'm just
So
trying to
you're
clarify.
talking about the outdoors
The
part,
outside
not,
space.
not the actual
Not
restaurant.
the
Not
restaurant.
the
The
restaurant.
outdoor.
So anything, so the restaurant under
If
200.
somebody desired to have outside dining, which the coffee shop here on Catella Avenue,
Yeah, daily grind.
the Daily Grind wanted to have
Yeah.
a couple of tables outside. We've got to find a way to let it happen without having to go through a CUP and paying an architect and doing all of those things that many times dissuades people from doing it right.
Now, is
So-
this just, is it going to be like at Nick's and Baja Sonora? Because I ate at Baja Sonora and I'm like, they have tables outside. Is it going to be just where they throw tables outside, or we're going to let them put a little fence around it?
It's whatever
or-
rules you adopt.
Okay.
That's where the discussion starts. If you think we could have a pre-packaged ordinance here that allows them to do it, you would establish those rules in the ordinance like Santa Monica has. They've said when there's alcohol, there's barriers. When there's no alcohol, there doesn't necessarily have to be barriers. You might want to leave some space available for wheelchair access and other pedestrian access and make sure it doesn't block that access. A number of rules are in here as a starting block for you guys to go by.
They covered a lot of bases.
Yeah.
And it was actually a lot more detailed than I thought it would have been for what they were trying to accomplish. Almost, I mean, some stuff that might even be a little bit excess. But it's really nice because it does lay a foundation to where, you know, it's not a free-for-all. I mean, there's going to be some guidelines for these people to
Yeah,
set up.
you take someone like Ryan Salvoni, who owns the juice shop on Los Al Boulevard, just north of
By
Spin.
the Flora.
Yeah, just north of Spin. He'd probably like to put some tables out front.
Yeah, the other areas, the two that came to mind when I saw the Santa Monica, the two that I think probably are very good at utilizing the space. You've got the gas lamp down in San Diego,
Mhm.
which that whole street is just a lot
Yeah,
of
but those are,
outside
I mean,
seating.
Santa Monica and the gas lamp are nothing like our city is now.
Not at all, but what I'm saying is they're very good at establishing rules and
absolutely.
guidelines for how they do it. And even in Belmont Shore on 2nd Street, you know, you look at a very tight space, and they, you know, I don't know what their guidelines look like, but I think I would be curious to see what something that close to us being Long Beach with 2nd Street and how they,
We can get those for you.
that would be
They'll
interesting.
probably be very similar.
It might be.
Any other questions or comments or staff?
Yeah. If we did the alcohol outside, do they still have to come to us for conditional use permit? Or is
Um,
that in here?
That's up to you guys.
Okay.
I mean, you're designing this. I mean, you got to think, are you trying to simplify a lot of steps or simplify a few steps? You got to look at the genesis of what you may be trying to do. Are you trying to make it easier for somebody that they don't have to go through all of these hoops and steps and provide us with a list of every property owner and tenant around their sites for a public hearing? Do you want them to pay for postage? Do you want them to pay for noticing in the newspaper? Those are the things that people have to pay for when they get a CUP and go through that higher level approval. By not making them go through that, then you lower the cost of them applying. And so you would establish an administrative level of review where we can work with them, look at their site plan, and it goes from there.
On the second page on the eligible sites and configurations, on number 3, and it's talking about how many feet, because some of our sidewalks, I mean, we're looking at Santa Monica, which has a lot more space in some respects. I'd like to have that reworded so that we're not confining them so much. I don't think that Nix could fall under some of this, or Baja Sonoras. So I'd like to either remove some of the feet or look at it and just basically state that if they're going to do semi-permanent seating out there, can we have it so that we have handicap access enough to get by, that kind of footage or
Just
something?
make sure that the footprint is blocking handicap
Yes.
accessibility.
Yeah, because I think if we do the 8 feet or 5 feet, we're really going to push them into very little room at all.
I think this is a great, like I said, foundation, but I kind of feel like the entire thing would have to be gone through
Reworked,
us. I
yeah.
I
don't,
think there's
Sure,
a lot
yeah,
of it,
not-
but I think
yeah.
these
I
are
don't, I
good
don't think we
starting
could just
points.
sit here and.
No.
No.
We
Well,
have to
no,
go-
but
I-
that,
No.
I wanna-
that's
yeah.
what, that's what this, that's what we're doing
Our
here. is
intent
we're-
is, right, is to,
Right, is we're
Yeah.
I didn't
directing.
pay it, I didn't,
Like
yeah,
the idea and then go
I
from
didn't-
there.
Yeah,
yeah, I like
they
it.
have
I like
guidelines
it.
Yeah, I do
to
too.
Yeah, I do
to
too.
move forward.
I like the idea of the potential for having permanent up here. That's why I asked about the awnings and stuff. In here, though, if we're going to do permanent, I'd want to make sure that it looks nice, it's maintained. So maybe we could look at Belmont Shores, how they have theirs done. I don't want to put an awning up or a canvas up on the side and have it start tearing or wearing or looking bad. I want it to look nice. Those are the things that I see in here.
Yeah, for making a simplified project, there's a lot of rules in here.
There really,
Right.
I mean, that's why I'd
The,
be curious
um,
to see Long Beach and see
Okay.
the contrast and, you know, what overlaps and what doesn't, because each might have their own ideas that could be better than the other. We might be able to take some from one and some from another.
Yeah.
They do based on their experiences they've gone through.
To me, just in a broad stroke, if they're going to serve alcohol, or now ABC requires the fence, requires it partitioned. Okay, so that to me that would have to come back to us, and beyond that, if they were going to fence off even without alcohol, I think I'd want to take a hard look at that. But the idea like what Nix has right now and in Baja, or Baja Sonora, with a few tables and chairs, I don't have a problem with it. I look at it as more it's on private property. It's kind of the requirement for it's more a landlord-tenant thing. If that becomes an issue, like for they showed up in our meeting, the one, they have the eye doctor right there. He's concerned his people can't get through there. Well, even with the table setups without the fencing, if it becomes a problem, then for his customers to get in, to me, that's between him and his landlord. You know, as I'm sure that's all incorporated in the lease. He's got to have access. And as far as the ADA compliant and all that, if the owners of the businesses don't maintain the ADA compliance, then there's all these lawsuits out there.
Right.
These people running around looking for businesses to sue if there's not adequate ingress, egress. I mean, it's like the city really doesn't even have to get into it. I think there's enough opportunists out there that are.
But if we don't have it in our guidelines.
No, I'm not saying not have guidelines. I'm just saying that it'd be nice to make it easy and without.
Well, that's why I like how in this one, they actually
Yeah,
referred
yeah.
back to the ABC saying, you know, if you're gonna have alcohol, you have to,
Yeah.
you know, on top
But
of
just
what we're
in
doing, you
general,
have
I
to
think if we
adhere
can
to the
keep it-
ABC laws.
So if I could poll the commission, you like the idea of finding
Yeah.
a streamlined process for small spots?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
The
You're-
board, I don't like, you know, the menu. I don't like a menu posted outside because I'm afraid that it becomes a clutter. It changes, menus change, but I don't mind the easel.
Well, that's
Having
what they're
an
talking
easel.
about, a sandwich board in theirs.
Yeah. Sandwich board in the.
But yeah.
They're very
Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
about that. What I found interesting though, and I don't know, I don't agree with it at all, but I found it interesting that they actually went as specific as saying that food had to be purchased in order to be served alcohol.
A lot of cities have done that because restaurants will,
Become bars.
they become bars overnight. They morph into not having food service. They turn into a Boondocks overnight. So you'll have a requirement, you shall serve food, and then all of a sudden there's frozen food brought in from next door.
Oh, man.
Because, and then they think they're meeting the condition.
Wow.
So us planners over the years have been through those scenarios to
Interesting.
where cities don't mind alcohol served in restaurants, but they don't want a bunch of bars popping up.
Right.
So there's a lot of regulation like that.
I think this is a good foundation.
Okay.
I'd like for you guys or the staff to work on bringing something back to us and maybe look at Belmont Shores too, especially with how they've got their fencing so that it's nice. It tends to look pretty nice over
Does
there.
this seem too onerous to you?
Mm.
No? Okay.
No, but I think it's something that, like I said, I think we should go through item by item almost and see if it works for us or not.
Okay.
And I'm
This
actually,
doesn't deal with public sidewalks. This doesn't allow them to put their
Right.
stuff on public sidewalks. That would be an encroachment permit. That would be a different process.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lisa
Well,
says
that
yes.
We'll motion to approve the resolution.
Resolution.
one more thing. One thing though, would you do me a favor and break down two different ways? I'm not opposed to doing putting the fence up by the city or the staff looking at it, allowing alcohol, but can you do two so that we can look at both?
Yeah.
One that says they have to come to us and one that says they
We'll
don't
give you a
have to.
shopping list.
Okay.
Insert A, insert B.
Yeah, they have, in here, they have some language to that too, about semi-permanent, you know, those are questions. I think, like Baja Sonora is a good example. One of the issues there was having a permanent fence and it obstructing, right? So how do we deal with that? How do we make this language work? so
We've seen
that-
some of these that have designs and drawings for you.
Yeah.
We'll bring those back to you, or we actually can email those to you in advance. Let's do that, Tom. Let's
And,
give you
and
some-
while you're at it, look at a few of these ones around towns and stuff and see what the difference is. Like, for instance, in Santa Monica, you might be thinking of Third Street Promenade. Montana, another street, actually has just basically chairs and tables outside. They don't have the gate around it or anything like that. So that's another good one to look at.
I saw Art sitting outside today at Nick's, where I could not get a parking spot for 10 minutes, and I drove around and finally double parked to pick up my order. I'm like, I'm never coming here again at lunch.
There's a parking lot.
See what
The
you-
parking lot was full.
No, the other parking lot.
No, the
You
one
took
on the
their
other side, the
parking space.
two-story,
Oh, yeah.
every
Of
spot
course
was
you
full.
did.
I drove around it twice.
That big,
The big
Parking
parking
lot?
lot.
I was there at
They
lunch.
said it's
Really?
all the hospital workers park there.
oh,
Nowhere to
okay.
park.
Wow.
And he took the signs down too, that you don't have to pay there anymore.
Oh, you don't? I didn't.
Or at least
There
right
was
now
nowhere
for
to
the
park,
time being,
so
yeah.
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I'll make
to-
a motion for resolution 15-15 as in here. I have to read it now.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carried. Which takes us to item 8B. Do I have a staff report?
Yeah, Lisa's going to introduce this one.
I am.
Yeah,
Surprise to me.
she's the non-conforming use and structure specialist,
No.
or at least she's about to be.
Evidently. So this is another resolution of intent, the Planning Commission to amend the code. And this one is to make changes to our non-conforming uses and structures, to overhaul this process. As we've seen, our ordinance has some ambiguities in it, and we would definitely like to bring something back. So we can try and avoid problems in the future on non-conforming uses. And if the Planning Commission's in agreement, then it would be appropriate to adopt Resolution 15-16.
Questions or comments for staff?
I'll move the recommendation.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Shortest meeting on record.
Items from the Community Development Director.
One minor item, it's not a full-fledged application yet, but we met twice with a hotel developer that is going to file an application to build a Fairfield Inn on the vacant lot.
Oh,
Let him read the
Same guy?
minutes of the last.
He already watched it, and he's read it.
Good.
Is Mr. Fairfield on board with that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
We'll see, we'll see.
Yeah,
What vacant lot?
that's
If
valid.
he doesn't
let's not
learn
beat us
from the
both.
video, I
By
can't.
Serpentine.
recommend
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hope you feel better,
the
Steve.
only big
Thank you.
piece of property.
Is it by
we have
itself,
left.
or not a,
It what?
without another structure?
Yeah, it's only,
Just
there's
a
no
hotel?
Starbucks, there's no restaurant on it.
It came up before.
He's done a little more work, and he feels like he needs a big area for drainage to capture all the water, which the other guy didn't take it that far. So we'll see.
To the project.
All right, Commissioner reports. Anything from anybody?
I have a question. Is there a possibility that for the Christmas party, we can include somebody we just lost, Will? Is that possible or not? Can you
I
look
think
into
you'll
it?
have to ask the council member or should.
Okay, I'll
It's
talk to
their
one.
party showing their appreciation for you. So I'd reach out that way.
Okay, I'll talk to Richard Murphy.
Just means he
Did,
Nudge him tonight.
what
No,
does,
I'll see him, I'll see him.
what happened at Spin Pizza? You guys,
Just remodeled.
Yeah, they're closed. He's coming up with a new concept. He's interested in applying for outside dining.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Where would we put the outside dining?
On the sidewalk,
On the
no.
street.
On the street, literally.
More than 200 square.
Yeah.
They had just remodeled it.
well, it's a brand new building, so I thought when I saw it
thought
closed
he
for
had
remodeling,
shaky.
it seemed kind of strange
It
to me.
did work.
Train wreck.
I don't think he had enough
It was.
variety on his menu, yeah, because if you didn't like that style pizza, you didn't have a choice, so. But I would like to mention something else real quick. When did we get the E AED?
Those were about a month ago. They're all over in every city building.
Everybody know how to use one?
We had our training yesterday.
As long as one of you do.
Yeah.
If you ever want to know, I'll be more than happy to show you. It takes about 5 minutes to get that.
Yeah, they're in all the civic buildings. Corey's in charge of.
I almost needed one yesterday.
He's the captain.
I had to
Any-
play 45 minutes of hockey without any subs.
Any other commissioner reports? All right, with that, meeting adjourned.